They say the worst day of your life sneaks up on you. Mine started with a voicemail. Not from her. Not from a friend. From a medical clinic I'd never even heard of. Hi, this is Jackie from Harborview Urgent Care. We've received your partner's results and need you to come in for STI screening. It's important we follow up as soon as possible. I played it 3 times. At first, I thought it was spam. I mean, STI screening? For what? I hadn't even been to a doctor in 6 months. And my wife? My wife Mallory had just gone to a wedding 2 nights before. She said it was a girl's thing. Just a weekend away. Wine, laughter, dancing. She even left me a stupid Polaroid on the counter with a note. Don't burn the house down. Love you, smiley face. But she hadn't come home yet. That was the first thing that hit me. The second was, why would I be contacted by her clinic? I called. Gave them my name. Gave them hers. The nurse hesitated before saying, I'm sorry, Mr. Warren, but due to patient privacy. I cut her off. She listed me, didn't she? My voice cracked. Emergency contact. Spouse. That's me. She listed me. Silence. Then a sigh. Sir, we recommend you come in today. You've likely been exposed. Exposed to what exactly? The only thing I'd been exposed to lately was frozen pizza and reruns of game shows, while my wife partied God knows where. But I went. I sat in that waiting room like a ghost while they handed me a clipboard filled with words I couldn't even pronounce. And the nurse? She had that tone. You know the one. Soft, gentle, the way people speak when they're trying not to say, you poor idiot. After the swabs and questions and awkward eye contact, I left with a brochure. Trichomoniasis. I Googled it in the car. Then Googled it again. Then again, because I thought surely the internet must be joking. You don't accidentally catch that. It doesn't float through the air like a cold. You get it from someone. Someone who got it from someone else. And suddenly the 2-day silence, the missed texts, the dead phone battery, the stupid cupcake selfie she posted at 3 a.m. It all started clicking together like some grotesque puzzle. When she finally came home that night, I didn't say a word. She dropped her suitcase, kicked off her heels, and said, Oh my God, my feet are killing me. Like nothing happened. Like everything was fine. And then she kissed me. I let her. Because I wanted to see if I could feel it, the lie, the filth, the disease. She pulled away and asked, Why are you looking at me like that? And I said, Who the hell is Brian? Her face drained in an instant. That name wasn't a guess. It was from her Instagram story. A tagged comment someone accidentally left public before deleting it. Just 3 words. He still got it. She tried to lie, of course. Said he was just a friend. Said he was the groom. Said he was gay. So I showed her the voicemail. Played it. Watched her eyes twitch like she was reliving every second of whatever she'd done at that wedding. And then I told her, You gave me something, Mallory. Her mouth opened, then closed. Then she said the most insane, soul-destroying sentence I've ever heard. Well, maybe if you weren't so boring, I wouldn't have needed excitement. That's when I knew she wasn't sorry. Not even close. That's when the rage started growing in me like wildfire under my skin. But I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I didn't even throw her out. Because I had a better idea. A slow, humiliating, perfect kind of revenge. One that she wouldn't see coming. Until it was already way too late. Mallory tried to explain herself, but everything she said sounded like a script she barely rehearsed. She paced around the living room like she was on trial, hands flailing, voice rising and falling, switching between fake outrage and forced innocence. It wasn't what it looked like, she kept saying. Over and over. Like if she said it enough, it would somehow cancel out the fact that she'd infected our marriage, literally and figuratively. I didn't interrupt. I just watched her. I wanted to see how deep she'd go into her own fantasy world before realizing I wasn't buying a single word of it. She told me they danced. She told me there was drinking. She told me she cried because weddings make her emotional. And then, like a cherry on top of a steaming pile of trash, she said, It didn't mean anything. It was just one stupid night. I don't know why that phrase always hurts the most. One night. As if the time frame shrinks the betrayal. As if wrecking everything you've built with someone over years can be shrugged off because it only took a few hours. I sat on the edge of the couch with the STI brochure in my lap. Didn't say a word. Just held it up and pointed at the symptoms. I didn't even know I had it, she mumbled. I thought it was a yeast infection. My head dropped into my hands. I wanted to scream. Not just from the anger, from the disrespect. She wasn't even treating me like a person anymore. I was a road bump. An obstacle to be talked around, not to. Eventually, I said, if you were brave enough to cheat on me, at least be brave enough to own it. That's when she stopped talking. Her arms dropped. Her eyes changed. And in that exact moment, she gave up pretending. She sat down and went completely still. And then she whispered, "Are you going to leave me?" I didn't answer, because in my head, I already had. What she didn't know was that I'd already gone to see a lawyer earlier that day. I'd walked into that downtown office with a copy of our marriage certificate, 2 years of bank statements, and a quiet kind of fury that had been burning in my gut since the moment I got that voicemail from the clinic. And the lawyer? His name was Frank. Bald guy. No nonsense. He looked over the papers, raised one eyebrow, and said, "She doesn't know you're here, does she?" "No," I said. "Good," he replied. "Let's keep it that way." We spent 3 hours building what he called a pre-strike package. Bank account documentation, copies of our joint mortgage, credit card statements showing sudden hotel charges on her end, charges I hadn't even noticed before. He said if I moved fast and clean, I could freeze everything, lock down the assets, and file under fault-based grounds citing infidelity and exposure to risk. Apparently, giving your spouse an STD counted as reckless endangerment in our state. I didn't even know that was a legal term. So while she was out partying at someone else's wedding, I was sitting in a legal office watching my entire life get turned into court documents and evidence folders. It was the coldest comfort I'd ever felt, but it was still comfort. Back in our living room, Mallory looked so small sitting on that couch. Her eyes were red. She tried reaching for my hand. "Please, you're the only stable thing in my life," she whispered. That's when something inside me snapped. "You threw that away," I said. "And you didn't even use protection when you did." I stood up, walked to our bedroom, pulled out the suitcase she usually used for business trips. I opened the closet, grabbed every single thing she cared about, her designer heels, her skincare crap, her laptop, the fancy black dress she wore when she wanted to impress, and stuffed it all inside. No ceremony, no emotion. I wheeled it out and parked it by the front door. And then I looked at her one last time. "You've got 24 hours, I said. After that, the locks change. She tried to argue, but I wasn't listening anymore. I wasn't just kicking her out. I was setting the stage for something bigger, something public. Because if she thought giving me an STD was the worst consequence of her actions, she hadn't even seen what came next. The next morning, the house was dead silent. Mallory didn't sleep in the bedroom. I heard her crying on the couch once around 3 a.m., but I didn't check on her. I couldn't. Whatever part of me used to care, the part that would bring her water or cover her with a blanket, that part had been infected and killed off, same as the rest of this marriage. When I walked into the kitchen, she was sitting there with a mug in her hand like everything was normal. No suitcase by the door. No apology. Just awkward silence and the smell of her cinnamon creamer, the one I bought, even though I hated it. She opened her mouth to say something, but I held up my hand. "Don't. I've already talked to a lawyer." And then I saw it. That flicker of panic in her eyes. It wasn't about losing me. It was about losing control. "You don't have to do this," she said softly, but there was something rehearsed in her tone. Like she was still trying to act her way out of this. The same way she acted through her affair, through her lies, through pretending like nothing had changed. "I'm not doing anything," I told her. "You already did." I didn't wait for a response. I grabbed my keys and left. I needed space, clarity, air. But more than that, I needed proof. Proof I could use. Not for the lawyer. No, I already had enough there. But for something else. Something bigger. Something that would sting in the way words and court papers never could. It was while sitting in my car in the parking lot of a grocery store, half in shock, half in rage, that it hit me. She always had her notifications off. Always. But once, a few months ago, her phone had buzzed while she was in the shower. It was on the counter. I only saw it for a second, but I remembered the name of the group chat, the Bad Bridesmaids. It stuck with me because I joked about it later. "What are you all, some kind of bachelorette mafia?" She laughed. "Just old college friends. We vent. It's harmless." So I texted one of the women I'd met once at a dinner party, Kinsey. She was sweet, maybe too sweet. The kind of person who says too much without realizing. I sent a casual message. "Hey Kinsey, random question. Mallory mentioned you guys were in a crazy group chat after the wedding. She said there were funny pics. Any chance you have that thread?" I waited. I didn't expect much. But within minutes, Kinsey responded with, LOL, OMG, you haven't seen the video? Video? She sent a file. And I swear to God, my hands were shaking before I even hit play. And when I did, I couldn't breathe. It wasn't just a video of Mallory dancing. It wasn't just flirty. It was damning. Her, drunk, grinding on some guy in a tux. Laughter. Screaming. Someone yelling, get it, girl. And then a kiss. A full, shameless, open-mouthed kiss. In front of her friends. At a wedding. While wearing the necklace I gave her on our anniversary. My chest felt like it cracked open. I stared at the phone, fingers trembling, jaw locked. This wasn't just betrayal. This was performance. She didn't just cheat. She made a show of it. And suddenly, everything changed. My grief? Gone. My confusion? Burned away. I finally knew what I had to do. Because if she was bold enough to humiliate me in front of her friends, then I would return the favor, publicly. I didn't go home after watching the video. I couldn't. I just drove. I didn't even realize where I was headed until I looked up and saw the parking lot of Mallory's office. A part of me was tempted to march inside, hold my phone up in front of her coworkers, and press play. Let them see what kind of team player she really was. But that would have been too easy, too messy, and I wanted this to be clean, sharp, devastating. So I sat in my car and thought about who else she'd hurt. Who else deserved to see this, just like I had. Then it hit me. Her parents. They adored me. Always said I was the stable one. Her dad once joked at Thanksgiving that if Mallory ever screwed things up with me, he'd disown her. I thought it was funny at the time. Now it sounded like a prophecy. So I texted her mom. Hi Cheryl. I know this is a hard message, but I need to talk to you and Dan. Privately. Today. She responded with a polite but confused, everything okay? I told her the truth. No, but I think it will be, once you see something. They invited me over for coffee, like it was a casual catch-up, but I wasn't there for small talk. I walked in, sat down at the kitchen table where I'd shared countless family dinners, pulled out my phone, and played the video. No build-up, no warning. Just hit play and let it speak for itself. The room went silent. Her mother gasped halfway through. Her father clenched his jaw so tight, I thought his molars might crack. Nobody said a word until the video ended and the screen went dark. And then Cheryl just whispered, when was this? I told her, gave them the date, the wedding, the whole lie Mallory had spun about the lake house weekend. Her father stood up. I'm going to call her, he said, already walking toward the living room. But I stopped him. No, I said, let her come home to it. Let her walk into the storm she created. It felt wrong, in a way, dragging her family into it. But I wasn't trying to destroy her world out of spite. I was showing her what she destroyed all by herself. Cheryl hugged me on the porch before I left. Actually hugged me. She was crying. You didn't deserve this, she whispered. She was never this reckless. I don't know who she's become. Neither did I. But I knew who I was becoming. Someone I barely recognized. Someone sharper, colder. Someone who wasn't going to let this end in tears and moving boxes. No, I wanted her to feel it. Every inch of it. The shame, the regret, the exposure. So I made a copy of the video. One for my lawyer, one for myself, and one for the next person I was going to visit. Because the man in the video, the one Mallory was all over, I found out his name, and he had a fiancée. I didn't even need to dig deep to find him. The guy from the video, the one Mallory pressed herself against like I never existed. His name was Owen. A tagged photo on Facebook from the wedding gave him away. He was standing next to the groom in matching tuxes, holding a beer and grinning like the world belonged to him. I clicked through his profile, half hoping he'd be just another bachelor. Maybe a serial flirt. Maybe no one would care what he did that night. But no, he was engaged. Her name was Madeline. She had one of those picture-perfect profiles, home renovation reels, latte art, early morning yoga poses, golden retriever selfies. I'll be honest, my heart sank when I saw her face. Not because I knew her, but because I instantly knew she didn't know. She had that look, the kind people only wear when they believe the world is safe and the people they love are telling them the truth. And my wife helped destroy that for her. I spent a full hour debating what to do. I didn't want to be the villain in someone else's love story. But then again, no one gave me that option when my wife decided to have hers rewritten in someone else's bed. So I messaged her. Not with accusations. Not with rage. Just a quiet, hi. I know we don't know each other, but I think you deserve to see something. If you'd rather not, I'll never bring it up again. She replied within minutes. I'm listening. I asked her to meet me in a public place. I didn't want it to feel threatening. I chose a coffee shop. Safe. Normal. Like the beginning of a movie you don't yet realize is a tragedy. When she arrived, she looked exactly like her photos. Neat, calm, trusting. I hated that. Hated that I was about to change that forever. I sat across from her, pulled out my phone, and said, "This was taken 3 nights ago. At the wedding. The one Owen went to without you." Her face barely moved as the video started. I watched her eyes, how they twitched slightly at the laugh, how they went wide at the kiss, how her fingers slowly curled inward like they were holding onto the last piece of her own story. When it ended, she just asked, "Your wife?" I nodded. Soon-to-be ex. She didn't cry, didn't scream. She just whispered, "Thank you," and stood up. That's all. No scene. No chaos. She walked out like someone heading toward a completely different life than the one she'd planned that morning. And as I sat there, finishing my coffee alone, I realized something that surprised me. I didn't feel satisfied. Not yet. Because Mallory still had no idea what was coming. She thought she dodged it. That because I didn't scream or shatter glass or post the video online, I'd moved on. But I wasn't done. I was just getting strategic. Because revenge isn't about rage. It's about timing. And my favorite moment was only a few days away, our 5-year anniversary. I don't know what kind of man I've become, but I do know this. I was calm. Disturbingly calm. The kind of calm you feel right before a building explodes, when the air goes still and your ears start ringing, like your body knows something irreversible is coming. That was me, 3 days after meeting Madeline, 2 days after finalizing the paperwork with my lawyer, and 1 day before our 5-year anniversary. Mallory had started acting nice again. Not apologetic, not really. Just nice. The kind of nice that comes when someone senses they're standing on a trapdoor. She was cooking again. Playing old music in the kitchen like we were still a team. She even left a note on the fridge. "Let's do something for our anniversary. I miss us. I miss us." Not "I'm sorry." Not "I messed up." Just a casual nostalgia for the things she threw out like spoiled milk. I didn't respond. I just set the plan in motion. That night, while she was asleep, or pretending to be, I walked into the living room and pulled out the small velvet box I'd been holding onto for months. The ring. The one I'd bought back in January, thinking I'd surprise her with a renewal of our vows. I had no idea, back then, that she'd be untying them behind my back before spring even arrived. I took the ring, placed it in the box, and slid in a folded piece of paper. No dramatic speech. Just a single line. "You gave me something unforgettable. Now here's something to help you remember." I placed it on the dining table, right next to a small plate with one of her favorite anniversary cupcakes, red velvet, cream cheese frosting. She always said it made her feel celebrated. Then I took my bag, already packed, and walked out the front door without a sound. I didn't slam it. I didn't look back. I just drove. Where? To a rental apartment I'd been quietly paying for through a separate account. My name only. Fully furnished. It wasn't fancy, but it had something I hadn't felt in months. Peace. The next morning, our anniversary, I turned my phone off. No messages. No calls. No chaos. For a while. But by 10:17 a.m., when I turned it back on, I had 23 missed calls, 8 voicemails, and 1 video message from Mallory. She was crying in it. Really crying. The ugly kind, snot, shaking hands, no filter. She held the ring in her palm and said, "Please don't do this. Please don't walk away. You don't know what this is doing to me." But I did. It was doing exactly what it was supposed to. I listened to the messages, each one more desperate than the last. "We can go to therapy," she said. "I made a mistake. It wasn't who I am. You're the only person who's ever loved me right." But the thing about betrayal is that once it cracks open the truth, it doesn't just shatter the past. It poisons the future too. I didn't reply. Instead, I called my lawyer and gave him the green light to proceed with the filing. Full divorce. Fault-based. Infidelity. With supporting digital evidence and an attached medical report. Mallory didn't know it yet, but the ring she cried over wasn't a gift. It was a signal. Because tomorrow, she'd be served. She didn't know what day it was when she opened the front door in her pajamas and saw a stranger standing there, holding a manila envelope with her name on it. She probably thought it was a package. Something she ordered online, like all those impulse buys she used to make when she was bored or tipsy. But when she took that envelope in her hand and saw the first word, divorce, the world tilted. She called me before the door even shut behind her. Not once. Not twice. She called 7 times in a row. I watched it ring from my rental apartment, phone face up on the kitchen table, her name blinking like an alarm I wasn't going to silence. I was going to ignore. When she realized I wouldn't answer, she switched to text. The messages came fast, angry, confused, then pathetic. What is this? Is this a joke? How dare you go behind my back like this? And then, the one that made me laugh bitterly out loud. You could have at least talked to me first. Talked to her? Like she talked to me before pressing her lips against another man? Before exposing me to something she brought home like a party favor? Like she talked when she lied about where she was, who she was with, and how dead her phone battery was. No, she didn't want a conversation. She wanted a delay. She wanted time to twist the story into something she could survive. But I wasn't going to give her that. By noon, her parents knew. Cheryl messaged me privately, apologizing again, telling me she supported whatever I needed to do. Apparently, Mallory had gone to their house in tears, claiming I was abandoning her. But when they asked her about the video, she cracked. Finally, she admitted it. All of it. And her father? The man who once toasted to our marriage with misty eyes and trembling hands? He told her to leave. Not me. Her. For the first time in our relationship, she was the one left outside. And the fallout kept growing. I don't know if Madeline confronted Owen yet. She never replied again after our meeting, but 2 mutual friends of Mallory's removed her from their group chat. One of them even messaged me to say they were so sorry, and that they had no idea it was that bad. It was that bad. Worse, even. And it wasn't over. Because the final piece of the puzzle, the one I'd been holding back, the one I knew would break her in a way she'd never recover from, hadn't been revealed yet. She thought the divorce filing was the climax. It wasn't. She thought the ring and the video were the revenge. They weren't. Those were just the setup. Because in 24 hours, she'd walk into her job thinking life was still salvageable. But she'd be wrong. Very, very wrong. She walked into work like it was just another Monday. Hair curled, sunglasses on, the same silk blouse I once surprised her with on our 3rd anniversary. I watched her from my car across the street. Not because I wanted to stalk her. I didn't care where she went anymore. But because I needed to see the moment it all unraveled. I had sent the package 2 days earlier. Anonymous, no return address. Inside, a flash drive with the wedding video, a copy of the STD test results with my name redacted, and a note addressed to her boss. This is who represents your brand. I didn't even need to write anything else. Mallory worked in public relations. Image was everything. Reputation was currency. And when that envelope hit the executive floor, she didn't make it past lunchtime. They didn't fire her on the spot. They suspended her pending internal review. But by 4 p.m., her LinkedIn status quietly changed to open to work. A digital scarlet letter. She called me later that night, again, and left one last voicemail. Her voice was hollow. No more anger. No more denial. Just this fragile whisper. I don't know how it got this far. I just wanted you to forgive me. But I had already forgiven her. That was the hardest part to admit. Because forgiveness didn't mean I'd take her back, or forget what she did, or pretend she hadn't set fire to the life we built. It meant I no longer needed to carry her weight. Her guilt. Her shame. I had unloaded it all. And with that weight gone, I could finally breathe again. I signed the final divorce papers a week later. No fanfare. No last words. Just a signature, a courier, and silence. The rental apartment started to feel less like exile and more like peace. I painted the walls a color she would have hated. Bought a used record player from a thrift shop and started collecting old vinyl just for the hell of it. Began cooking for one. Badly, but laughing when I burned the eggs instead of hiding the smoke. And then, one morning, I ran into someone. Not on an app. Not through a friend. Just at a bookstore downtown, where I was mindlessly flipping through used paperbacks and muttering to myself about overpriced coffee. Her name was Elise. She laughed at my rant. I offered to buy her the overpriced coffee. She said yes. And we talked. Not about betrayal. Not about pain. Just books. Music. Dogs. It was simple. Easy. Nothing wrapped in lies or tension. And for the first time in what felt like years, I didn't feel small. I didn't feel humiliated. I felt free. Mallory lost her mask. Her job. Her marriage. The version of herself that believed she could cheat and walk away untouched. But me? I walked away with something better. My self-respect, my peace, my future. And somehow, through the ashes and the silence and the heartbreak, I found the beginning of something real. Maybe even something beautiful.